Hello everybody and welcome back to a very packed episode of PSVR2 news. From game updates to release dates to cancellations and delays, there's all to talk about here. Before we get into it, only 25% you are subscribed, so please feel free to do so, and thank you to our patrons and members who are all on screen right now. With that being said, let's kick things off with a bit of a bang. That bang comes from the depths of hell, as Hellsweeper VR has had a brand new update. A brand new weapon has been added to the game. I've been meaning to revisit this one for a very long time and just haven't had the time, unfortunately. I think next time I do though will be in co-op, as the game does now I think support up to 3-player co-op, which is really cool. Hellsweeper is a game where you sweep hell, you kill demons with various weapons, you progress through the game with a great roguelite loop, loads of upgrades to choose from, and tons of content. So for those of you that own the game already, Vertigo just keep adding more to it. It's fantastic to see. The Firmament devs, a game that we thought might come out last month or this month, have confirmed that the game is close to passing certification for PS4, PS5 and PSVR2, as this is a hybrid game. This puzzler set in an abandoned, really fantastical looking world has caught my eye for quite a while. I spoke about it a bit more in depth in the April Games video, but as April came to a close, I was beginning to doubt we were going to get this game at all, but luckily, here it is, with hopefully just a little bit more to wait. Wanderer the Fragments of Fate also got a new patch, and I say this in the most tentative way possible because the patch apparently could wipe your save file. The patch notes say that it just simply adds crash fixes to the game, which is always appreciated, but the save issue is a little bit rough, to say the least. Some people are reporting that the save issue is only on Quest, but I would still be cautious if you're playing through Wanderer at the moment. Smash Drums finally got a release date. That is May 15th, and I can say that I have a key for this one. I haven't jumped in just yet, but I will be doing so before the game comes out. The main thing about Smash Drums though is that Sony have been promoting this a fair bit on their socials and have an entire PS blog talking about it too, delving into the 120Hz refresh rate, adaptive triggers and other PSVR2 features, and how sharp the game looks in the headset. Everyone that I've spoken to that's played this game has said it's their favourite drums VR game of all time, so I'm looking forward to jumping in and testing out this game as my first VR drumming game, so hopefully it's as good as they say. We covered Grimlord a little while ago, talking about how the dev team is still waiting on certification from Sony, and unfortunately it's still in that limbo at the moment. They expanded a little bit more in their Reddit, with the CEO saying, "We are still in discussions with Sony regarding releases. The porting is partially complete, but due to the new arena mode and content changes, we may release a full version on PSVR2. Great to hear that, but that's a little bit different to what we heard last time. Last time we heard from these guys, it seemed like the PSVR2 version was kind of done in terms of content, but they were just negotiating the terms of quality control basically with Sony. Now it seems with a couple of changes made to the base game on other platforms, they're playing catch up a little bit. So it might be a bit longer than we thought to see Grimlord on the platform. That is the Dark Souls-like game that I've played a couple of times in the past on Steam, when there were just a few maps and a few bosses, but it still felt like an impactful VR melee game. And I keep saying that we don't have enough VR melee games on the platform. Really, we just have Swordsman, some of the Walking Dead Saints and Sinners, Arcane Age, and that's kind of it, in terms of sword fighting anyway. So if we get the release of Grimlord and Blade and Sorcery in the same year, that could be really, really cool. We touched on a couple of DLCs already so far, but my favourite from this week has been Raptor Cliffs in Walkabout Minigolf. We covered this yesterday as our dedicated video, and despite being awful at it, the course was amazing. So many dinosaurs incorporated, I managed to name them all. Very happy with that. And the Walkabout devs keep on showing why they are the best in the business. If you haven't played this yet, I really encourage you to do so, especially if you're a Walkabout fan, because it is one of their best maps in terms of how creative it is with the animals on display. We got another trailer for VRRIDER SBK as well. This is the trailer specifically for Steam and PSVR2, as this was a Quest game in the past, and the trailer is very, very slick. It looks good in terms of the cinematics we have here. I don't know whether this is in-engine or pre-rendered. Some of it definitely is pre-rendered, and some of it is even real-life footage, but from what I've heard, the Quest port is very good, and so is the Pico port, and apparently the PSVR2 and Steam version is upgraded visually, so I'm very excited for this. We don't really have any traditional motorbike racing games on PSVR2, so this will be our first, and it features everything you could really want, including a structured championship mode, quick races, time trials, free practice, and long-distance endurance events. There's also real-time PvP, collision-free casual lobbies, asynchronous ghost challenges, and spectator modes, with officially licensed Ducati, Yamaha, Honda, Kawasaki, and BMW bikes, up against 21 other AI riders on 14 precisely recreated real-world circuits, and with all of that information, I can say I'm incredibly excited for it. No idea when this one will launch on PSVR2, but hopefully that trailer means it's on its way fairly soon. However, please show us some actual PSVR2 footage, thanks. It is Beat Saber's 7th anniversary, and apparently there's a little surprise this month coming. Maybe it'll be customization to our Sabers in the game, as they've teased for many years now. Who knows, we'll just have to wait and see. Unfortunately, we got hit with a delay yesterday, which is to Slender the Arrival. For a couple of reasons behind the scenes, I did kind of see this one coming a little bit. That's why I alluded to it maybe being delayed in the Games of the Month video at the start of this month. And unfortunately, yes, it has turned out that way. We have no date right now, it's just delayed to another part of 2025, but to be honest, I think releasing next to Ghost of Tabor and the Midnight Walk would not have been a really great move anyway, since May is absolutely packed with a couple of other games as well. So hopefully it now gets time to breathe and be polished when it eventually comes around, because that last trailer did look quite rough. If you watch the upcoming Games of the Month video back on May 1st, you'll know that I alluded to F125 may be coming over to PSVR2, if the stars align for EA. Well, I'm going to expand on that a little bit here, and unfortunately I don't really see this happening. Even though they said it's an ongoing creative discussion that they come back to very often, Codemasters and EA are having a bit of trouble right now, and that is quite an understatement. If you don't know, F1 as a franchise in terms of the games has been selling worse and worse year on year because of its declining quality and a couple of feature sets, handling model, and bugs and glitches. This has led to the F1 license maybe being in jeopardy for Codemasters and EA, and Codemasters as a whole has basically been gutted a bit. They used to make WRC, and they did up until this year, but that has now been cancelled. No WRC Rally games will be coming out for the foreseeable future. The entire team has also just been hit with a wave of massive layoffs, and the official Twitter and other social accounts for Codemasters has been deactivated. They are still working under the banner of EA to produce the F1 games, but with a studio in jeopardy such as this, as they are, I just don't see a PSVR2 port of F1 coming along, even though they did allude to it in the last blog post. The only way I see this happening is if Sony step in and fund it the same way they have with, say, Resi 8, Resi 4, or Hitman. In terms of a port to a platform that for EA is quite niche, I just don't see EA putting their own money and their own life on the line to make that happen. I definitely think it would boost sales to have a VR mode for F1, as there are a lot of sim racers on PSVR2 who would jump on that opportunity, but I just don't know if it's profitable enough for EA to really step in and do it themselves. It would probably need monetary intervention by Sony from outside, but unfortunately, that's the way Codemasters and EA have gone at the moment. It's looking pretty rough for them and for the future of the franchise, unless F125 sells like hotcakes, which I'm not sure it really will. That's all we really know, but I would say temper your expectations if you're expecting some sort of announcement, because, yeah, they're not in the greatest position right now. Penultimately, let's tackle the biggest story of today, which is Ghosts of Tabor, of course. They teased that PSVR2 was coming very soon, and suddenly, out of nowhere, they revealed that it's releasing on May 7th, 2025. That is in just 4 days' time. Now, I will be getting coverage out on this one probably after it drops. I don't know what the key situation will be like on this one, whether I have to buy it myself and just play it on the day. We'll see. I am going away on the 9th for a little bit, but I should have enough content to show you guys the ropes of Tabor when it comes out. Crossplay is also confirmed for this, which is very good, and I think we all kind of knew that this was coming when the DLC got leaked on the store not too long ago. Ghost of Tabor is the extraction shooter, which is very punishing, but very fun, especially with friends, where you lose all your kit if you die, and you head into the zone to grab loot and get out safely and do objectives. You can do these to get money to then upgrade your equipment and kit yourself out until the next wipe comes along and resets all the players. It is a very hardcore game though, and if you're into more casual FPSs, this one probably isn't for you. Lastly, the PlayStation blog had a post about the Midnight Walk. In terms of PSVR2 features and what they delve into here, there isn't really too much. They talk about how good the game will look on PSVR2, and how the game uses eye tracking to close your eyes to hear parts of the environment, which sounds very, very cool. But also the emphasis on binaural audio, which essentially creates a space in your headphones to properly mimic being in a room or a space. So if a sound is coming from behind you, you'll hear it from there. If it's coming from in front of you, you'll hear it from in front. And this is a bit similar to surround sound, except with surround sound, it's sending signals to specific speaker locations. With binaural audio, it's simulating the actual environment that you're in and bouncing that sound accordingly and creating a soundscape that feels real. It's quite a complicated process to do in some cases, but it really pays off when games do it well, and hopefully the Midnight Walk will. Anyway, that's all for today. Thank you so much for joining me. If you do feel like subbing to the channel, please feel free to do so, and I hope to see you all in the next one.